Hello, welcome to SPL Mixing. My name is Daniel Jason Booth. Today we're looking at the Magma Channel Strip, which Waves have brought out today. And you might be wondering, why do we need another channel strip? Now, I think I know the answer to this question, and I'll leave my answer to the end of the video. So what I've done is I've decided I'm going to put Magma Channel Strip on every single channel. And I just wanted to see what can it actually do. Let me play a bit of this mix so you can just get an overall sense of how it's sounding.
I do not mind if you call me a sinner, baby. I've done my fair share of wrong. Still I spread my arms and feel just like an angel. And I'ma try to bring you in with a song. Darling, wouldn't you want to lie down with the devil? Wouldn't you want to get high? Wouldn't you want to just join me in fire? And I will play passion and you'll play desire. And maybe tomorrow romance begins.
That's sounding pretty good. Okay, so the way the plugin works is it flows exactly how it looks on the screen, from this section to this section to this section. So we've got our input gain drive here, so we can adjust the sensitivity. That helps with how hard you're exciting the harmonics in the plugin. Then we've got a high pass filter, pretty standard stuff. Indication here of how hard you're hitting it. EQ, it's exactly as it says it is. The only thing is this is limited to 100 to 5K and it defaults to 1.6. The boosts are a lot wider than the cuts, but it is still a very broad EQ. The high shelf and the low shelf are also fairly broad and symmetrical. Expander, it's literally one knob and you can flick it up to go to gate. So compressor's just one knob and smash is basically more like limiting ratios. And that's it. And then obviously the fader, you can adjust this screw here to change the meter to calibrate it differently. It's all pretty straightforward. I really love the fact that we've got a huge range in the drive control because it enables you to dial in really fine settings. And I love the fact that the fader is quite big and easy to move because some plugins have very small faders. Or an example in the Waves, let's have a look in the Waves stuff. I really don't like this approach because I don't like reading numbers. I would rather just physically see it. So I like that aspect of it. So let's do some bypassing and just see how it sounds. Okie dokie, so here's the bass. Definitely a bit richer there. Kick. Overheads. And here's an example of something that I completely smashed. And that's just something that I did in context with the mix. Most of the moves that I've made on this are additive. Most of them are boosts. And that's just because I like the sound that I'm getting by boosting that EQ in. So this is something that this plugin does very well. Let's talk about the dynamic section. I don't know that I have enough control with the gate. So for example, the horns, I've got a gate on them. For me, I would like to then flick that over to a hard gate, but have a listen. So what I think's lacking there is a range control so that you can have that harder setting, but you can set a noise floor, I guess, for lack of a better word. But you can set a range of which how deep that gate goes, so that you can have it kind of half open, but the initial pop over into full open is very hard. So if I was setting this, now that's getting one trumpet through, but it's missing that lower one. So it means that I then have to go into the expand mode. But now I'm getting all the bleed again. I think the expander gate is tailored really well towards, say, a snare drum or a kick drum, not so much for just regular expander gate work on different instruments. The compressor is quite good. Maybe on the snare drum, I'll have a play with that. Let's just take it off. Quite musical sounding, got a good attack on it, and it seems to dull it up a little bit the more you dig in. This is where I've used 2 instances of the Magma Strip because I wanted to use the gate functionality first before I started driving it. Waves have gone to great lengths modeling this in the order that it is, and it sounds great. I just wish that they gave you the option to move the dynamics around to the front end or this to the back end, certainly to have a pop-out section where you can have control over the attack and release controls. That's something that I'm missing personally. Just quickly though, with the vocals, I did get a little bit lazy and just chucked the reverb directly on here. This is the EQ change that I made after.
Mind if you call me a sinner, baby? I've done my fair share of wrong. Mind if you call me a sinner, baby? I've done my fair share of wrong. Still I spread my arms and feel just like an angel, and I'ma try to bring you in with a song.
So this EQ was added just to do some finer work and clear it up a bit. Why do we need another channel strip? I'd be really interested to know if this more simplistic approach is what most people are after. Is this something that you would maybe prefer over an SSL workflow where you can change the order of stuff? I think this is a great plugin, but I tend to gravitate more towards stuff that is perhaps less broad. I realize that it is emulating an analog channel strip. My biggest criticism would be that I don't have control over the order. Like, for example, in an SSL, you have the ability to put the EQ section after the dynamics. This is sometimes preferable to putting it before. And so, it'd be nice to have that ability to just switch the signal flow order, have the drive at the end of the chain, just stuff like that. I feel like that's missing. The other thing I think that's missing is a sidechain input for the compressor. I would also, being a compression freak, love more control over the compressor, an attack control, a release control, have that ability to get in and just be able to tweak it. That you just have a pop-out section and you can EQ the sidechain. You can have attack and release controls, but they can be hidden from the user so that if people prefer to have a more basic approach and they don't like having that much unlimited control over the sound, then that's great. But for those who want to go over to the pro page, the expert page, and really dial it in to their exacting tastes, make that available. But as I say, this is completely from my perspective as someone who likes to get in and likes to change a lot of settings and have a greater control of how it all works. So yeah, that is the Waves Magma Tube Channel Strip. I really feel like this is aimed more at someone who's starting out. They don't want to think about what order the different components in the plugin are in, like an SSL plugin, like the EV2 or something like that. It's simple. It can get you pretty good results, as you can hear. It's a great sounding plugin, and I highly recommend it if you prefer a much simpler workflow, particularly if you like boosting stuff into dynamics. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'll leave a link so that you can explore it for yourself. Thanks for watching. Happy mixing. and I'll see you next time.